tehdään äänitesti samalla ja YouTube-lähetykseen todetaan, että aloitamme hieman suunniteltua myöhemmin seminaarin aikataulun mukaisesti, eli 15.40 alkaa sitten tämä varsinainen osuus.
And it should be on.
Yeah. So when you start,
Ai niin. Okay, I think we can start. Okay, welcome back, everybody, for the afternoon session. So we have two more presentations. First, I will start. I will tell you about Digiraati, and then Guna will continue with Web 2.0 and related topics. And then we will have some time for your group work, so working on your dream solution for youth EAT participation, and then we are off to our evening activities. But I will now tell you about the Digiraati platform. We also call it Virtual Council. That's the term we have been using in English. And it's basically a digital citizen council aimed for young people. And I will tell you a little bit about our approach in how we did the design from in our research fields in human technology interaction. And then I will mainly tell some phases in there and some examples about the prototype we worked on, and then I will show a couple screenshots from what's the current version of Digiraati. But let's start with the approach that we usually follow in human technology interaction. It's this process. There is also an ISO standard created for this process. So it's called Human-Centered Design, HCD, and it has these four main steps. And everything starts by understanding the user and what are who is the user in the first place. So for who are we designing this service or this product? So understanding who are our main users, identifying them. In this case, they are, for example, young people. Obviously, they are the officials in the municipalities or in the government. But they can be other people like teachers, for example, or youth workers, for example. I would say that definitely you people could be our target users in Digiraati case also. Okay, and then we need to understand what are the needs of these people who are going to use this service, how we can support them in their needs, what kind of challenges they have we can aim to solve with this digital solution. And then context refers, for example, the environment where this product will be used, and it can relate also to social context or technological context and so on. Like, are there other people utilizing this same service at the same time? So definitely in this kind of services, the social context has a really big impact also for the experience that young people get from using it. And then we specified the user requirements after we do this user research, so which is the two first steps. User research can include like interviewing people, running workshops, basically collecting data in many different ways, doing surveys and so on. And I will show you a couple examples what we did in a Digiraati design process. Then there's the design and develop phase where you co-design different solutions, and you make different prototypes of different levels. You just start by sketching some pictures what it would look like, describing, okay, basically what is the idea of this service. That's something that you are going to, I will hope to see tomorrow. That's just a description, what is the idea of this service, what people can do with it. And then you take the design in the next phases. You can create even paper prototypes and some interactive prototypes, and then develop the final solution, like a web service in our case with the Digiraati. And then there's the evaluation part, is where we test this prototype or the solution we have. So we ask feedback from those end users we have identified in the first phase. So we go to the young people and ask, okay, here's our proposal, what do you think about it? What works, what doesn't? So, and the whole process is iterative, so we always go to the previous phase and what we have learned, and we make a new design, and then we go back to the previous phase and so on. So this is the human-centered design process in a nutshell. And the Digiraati, where it all started, we had this aim that we want to create a web service that supports the communication between young people and the officials. And in our case, we defined the young people to be people 16 to 25 years old. And the officials can be legislators, hearing representatives in the government positions, and supporting this communication in societal matters. And it was supposed to be open platform, available also to be used for municipalities and NGOs, so that our dream was that we create this platform and basically anybody can use it who wants to organize these kind of citizen councils in the internet, in Finland context. And the council should discuss shared topics, so the participants get a topic and they will discuss in the given time frame. And the aim is to write this final statement. Then, like there can be lots of discussion, a very even kind of wild discussion, and then at the end it should be kind of concise statement that this is what this council thinks about this matter. And then this final statement can be taken then forward to the people who should hear about this topic. And some design goals we described at the beginning, that we aim to create motivating and easy to use digital channels for all youth to share opinions and discuss these societal matters, and also get positive experiences from the participation. It should be efficient and nationwide channel for the officials, that is the second user group or main user group, to hear about young people's ideas and thoughts, and then also support societal participation on national level, but also on local level. So as I said, the idea was that municipalities could also utilize this kind of service. Here is an overview of the design process. So it started already in 2018, and we started the first user research. We have shown some findings already, so we started with just trying to understand, okay, what are the barriers for young people to participate in societal discussions, basically, like just learning about the current situation and so on. So we did first user studies there in the 2018, and then we continued on 19, and there are some references, you can check them out. There, everything is on the All Youth website. So later you get I think we will share these slides with you all also. So then we started working on the first version of the prototype. We continued our user research. Then we had the first like functional prototype pilot testing in 2019, and then it was iterative. Then we got the collaborators jumped in when we had the functional prototype, City of Tampere, also Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Justice. Ministry of Justice was our main collaborator in this Digiraati process. And also the Red Cross safe houses, they were really active in, they were at the same time looking how they could support young people in Finland for societal participation in digital environment especially. So they were really actively involved in the testing this service with their customers, the young people who are in the safe houses. So they had the contacts to young people, so it was really beneficial collaboration. So they helped us a lot in evaluating the service and collecting feedback. And then in 2022, there was this kind of handover, so we finished developing the prototype with our research team, and we gave the ball to the Ministry of Justice, so they were happy with the process, and they decided that they will continue the work, and currently it is a national service available in their Ministry of Justice website, so one that is available for people in Finland. And we are still continuing the development, so we have big plans, lots of work still to do, but we have a functional service at the moment, and it's currently being used by many of our collaborators. I will show some couple pictures about it later. Here is just an example, like we had this, go back one slide. No, okay, you just need to press harder, it works better, yeah. Okay, so we had these workshops here at the 2018, and basically we had a concept idea, we had the different scenarios we described, and this is how young person could use this service. We went to the schools, we met young people in these NEET groups and different municipal workshop groups, so young people in different life situations and backgrounds, and we showed these scenarios, and we asked their feedback in these workshops. And one of the tools was this kind of storyboards, what we call them, like cartoons, so okay, there's a person using this service, and this is what happens, and great, yeah, then at the end they are happy and something was solved and so on. So this was just a very simple way to show the idea for the participants, and we haven't coded anything at this point. We didn't have to code, we just have the idea, no programming required. And the idea is with this that if you use this kind of methods, then you don't need to, if nobody likes the idea, then you can scrap it. and you didn't waste any resources on actually developing it further. But we got lots of good feedback and improvement ideas. In generally, the feedback was positive, but of course there were also questions. Before I ask like who had heard the word gamification, like that was one thing that divided opinions a lot. So like we introduced some gamification ideas for the storyboard or how this could be used, but like some people were afraid that people just come there to collect points or to get some badges or something like that, and not being interested into the actual discussions and the topics that should be the important thing. And some of the young people thought it sounds awesome. Yes, I want to try this, but then we ended up that we don't include much gamification, like some statistic information, like that was the thing that we thought that would be relevant, and it's not mandatory to. If you are not interested, you don't have to follow the statistics. But in general, it seemed that everybody likes to watch out those statistics and what's going on in the system, like what was the time people were active in the councils, for example, something like that. Okay, so then here is the idea of how the council would work. So this is from the officials' perspective. Like we thought that that's like the more realistic to start with. So we had also another idea that the young people would initiate the councils and gather other young people there to discuss, and then they would share the final statement to officials. But this was more like realistic, especially when there was no user base yet, so that the council is created first by the official from the government. So they define like, oh, what is the discussion topic and what's the schedule. Usually it was like 1 week, 2 weeks was when the council was open and people could participate there anytime they wanted from their home. Then they upload materials to support discussion. So it was PDF files basically that was supported in the prototype. Then there's this final statement questions. So in this prototype we had some questions at the end of the council that everybody answered, like they had discussed this topic, but then they answered these questions at the end of the council to provide their like concise ideas of this topic. And then they can invite additional discussions to, or the facilitators to these discussions. Then the participants are invited when the council is ready, so they are invited by email and they get the password to join into the platform. Then there's the discussion, and participants and facilitators basically discuss there in the servers. So this was like a chat, basically. So and it was anonymous. So you had your nickname, and then you discussed there writing messages, basically. I think Slack, if you know Slack, that was pretty close of the idea we had for this. And then after discussion, there's the final statements, and this can be like one of the participants who writes the final statement, or it can be some facilitator who puts everything together. And then the participants have a possibility to comment the final statement, and then our idea was that those comments would also be taken together with the final statement. So if somebody disagrees, that kind of metadata would be included in the statement when it's taken forward. And that's the part 5. And then what we always highlighted there, that it's really important that the participants hear what happens after their participation, because we found out in the initial studies that that it's very important for motivation that young people can see that it had some kind of impact. Why would they participate? Like if they 1 week discussion and then they never heard what happened. So it's important that the official or facilitators, they give some kind of feedback to the participants after they have taken the final statement forward. So that was something we always highlighted with the design. Here are some couple screenshots from the prototype that we created. So this is the version we created with our research team. So basically this is the front page, and there are these are the currently ongoing or already finished discussions or these councils. And then this doesn't work. Okay, here's the front page. If you open one of the councils, then this is really simplified. So there's like a time frame when it's open and when it will be closed, and some background information and description, and then there are the latest messages here on the right side. And then this is the discussion view itself. So really simple chat view, so you can read and write messages, and then you can answer to others' messages. And we also had this simple thumb up, thumb down, and then there was the star. The idea was that you can compliment somebody if they made a good argument. You can disagree with the argument, but if you think it was well written, you can give the star for that. So really, really simple, like these kind of activities. And one of the idea here was that if there's a young person who doesn't want to write comments there or is afraid, for example, in the Red Cross, like these young people, what they had, some of them just came for the first council to follow what's going on there, but they didn't want to participate. And then on the next council, they already started to write something. So, but you can always put a thumb up if you don't want to write, so that's already a participation. So we tried to put the threshold as low as possible here for the participation. And the other really important thing was this, that it's a safe environment. So there are these facilitators all the time, they're following the discussion. And then they can block people, they can delete messages and so on. Because we have been talking about this hate speech and young people are afraid of harassment and so on. So it was really highlighted that this should be a safe environment to provide your comments. And some feedback we collected from this is from the prototype version. So positive was that it was easy to use, fresh and so on. The threshold was very low for the discussion and you could participate from your home. And comments were answered properly, and it was felt that it was a safe environment, which was exactly what we were aiming for. And there's no need to find out who this matter should be forwarded to. So young people just participate, but they don't need to know any politicians or officials that who they actually should know about this matter, but it was taken care of by the organizers. And also important to hear what you influenced and what was the impact of your participation. So as I already mentioned this, what somebody also said from the participants, and we highlighted also that what happens after your participation. So it's important to keep the feedback loop working. And some development needs, of course, always that activating and motivating the discussions can be challenging. This is always, I think, a challenge. There is no magic wand to make young people to be active in these kind of services. You can try to do it, but it doesn't always succeed. And a long list of different features, and we have lots of ideas. There could be voting, there could be like video for the organizer, but it would be only one way, so that it would be still anonymous for the participants, and so on. Lots of ideas that we couldn't implement during our research project. And also that this was a website, so of course if it was a mobile application, it would be easier to just open it and use it on the go. So that would provide some new value for the young people. Okay, and today the Digiraati is available in this address. So if you want, you can go and check what it looks like. It's only in Finnish, unfortunately, and Swedish. If you know Swedish, then that's also a possibility, but no other languages at the moment. And I will just show a couple screenshots to sum up my presentation. So this is the current front page for Digiraati, and at the top there is no Digiraati yet because it's still a prototype, although it's already published, but we are still working on it. But there are links to other of these democracy services offered by the government at the moment. And pretty much the same idea. So there is you can search different councils, and then there are like currently ongoing councils, but you can then join. At the moment, you can only be invited to these councils, but we are also working on the idea that you could say that I'm interested in this topic, can I join this council? So that, and for example, that if you have some tags, for example, that I'm interested in nature, for example, and then if there is a open council where the topic is related to nature, then you could get like a notification that, okay, there's council available, do you want to join? So that kind of features, but of course that requires that we have the user base registered there for the council or this service in general. And then just one more screenshot about the actual discussion view. So there's the box where you can write your comment, and then you can add a picture there, and then there's just some information that you are currently registered as the main user, and then you can hide your name and organization. But for the young person, of course, those are not visible. And then the discussion itself is quite similar. The main difference we made in this, the prototype was it resembled kind of this kind of chat platform like WhatsApp or a Slack. But then we noticed that it's more common for young people to write longer messages less often. So we thought that this kind of like discussion forum style would be more beneficial and easier to follow when there are longer messages. So we will get these kind of threads there, and then you could then, for example, close the thread if there are lots of text, and the thread would start a new topic. Okay, and then at the moment there is only one other subpage, that is the materials that are provided to you, like links to different websites or PDF files. So like material you should read before you start the council and the discussion there. And then the third link up is about or for the organizers to control it. Oh yeah, I had one more slide here. This is data collected by my colleague or our colleague Henna Juusola from All Youth Project. So she interviewed and also participated as a facilitator in one of the councils. I think it was Ministry of what was the? Do you recall what ministry was it? Not education, but forestry. Yes, Minister of Forestry and in Finland. So they organized one council there, and Henna was a facilitator in that, and there were also two more facilitators, and so she interviewed them, and she just some general views of the current version and e-participation in general was discussed here. And what to highlight here? Well, maybe about this Digiraati, there are some general notions about e-participation that they discussed, but then related to Digiraati is that it's simple concept, relatively easy to use, but it's still like kind of adult-led, and there's strongly facilitator like emphasis there that they like work and activate young people to participate and discuss. And it's one relevant form for hearings and youth consultations. Accessibility is still, like we say at or it is stated in the Digiraati, that it's not currently accessible yet. There are still aspects that need to be worked on that to make it accessible. For example, like how well it works when you are using the screen reader application, for example. It's not completely yet working in all the views on it. Anonymity was thought good, but of course in the anonymity there are like the two sides that you don't know, and sometimes it would be nice to know, for example, in what areas in Finland these participants are from. But then that anonymity is also very important to make the safe environment for young people. And then lastly, the topic is really important. So if the topic is interesting for young people, of course the chances for getting the participants is higher. And one more notion what I thought was really great during this process of Digiraati, or the whole project, was this novel type of collaboration that was started between the these NGOs, like the Red Cross, for example, and the Ministry of Justice and other ministries, that they started to collaborate, and we are there as research participants collaborating with them. That these NGOs, they have contacts to young people, they can reach them, and then the ministries, they have the need to find these young people, that they don't have all the means to reach those people. So we work, or they work together to get the young people to participate in these councils, and also to ask for young people that what kind of topics they would like to bring up, and to be organized as these kind of citizen councils. So this is like a new, and to my understanding, haven't happened before, at least in Finland on this level, that these two stakeholder groups work together for the same goal. Okay, but now if you have any questions or comments, I'm happy to answer. And after that, we will move to Guna's presentation. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say that it's really a brilliant idea, and I think nothing but good can come of this. I just have some questions slash concerns regarding the execution of the idea from my perspective. So, do the discussions happen face to face, and how are the participants selected in the council? That's one of my questions.
Yeah, no, there is no like video connection on, so the participants don't see each other. It's everything happens on online in the website. So
Okay,
as
so
anonymously. So in a written form, basically, it's like a chat forum, you could say.
Anyone can write whatever they want in that platform, right?
Yeah, the participants who are like invited to the and they have joined into the
How
council.
invited? I mean,
Yeah, it depends. Well, in practice, it happens that the participants get a password in email, and then they join the website, and then they join the specific council with that password. But basically, it's up to the organizers to decide, like, okay, how can they reach the participants, and is it like, let's say, it can be like a school class, for example, if that's they think that's a good sample, or it can be more open. Usually, it's like specific area in Finland, like some specific municipality. And
who wants to participate, they just like are accepted. There are no criteria for someone to participate in the discussion.
well, that's up to the organizers. If they have some specific criteria, they have to state that when they are looking for the participants.
Okay.
But that's but definitely that's, if you think that it's kind of like an open council that anybody can participate, then of course there is the challenge that we can't be sure are they people who they say they are. They can be like some adults just there writing. If you, well, it's in the same like in the Facebook, you can't be sure that are these people who they have made the profile.
Yeah.
So that's the downside with the going with anonymity. And we had lots of discussion about this, that if we want to recognize the young people, how can we do that? They don't have bank accounts, maybe we can't use that. They might have some, like there are services at the primary schools that you can use for recognizing people. But then there's the problem, the more difficult you make it for young people to just to register in this kind of service, the less people you will get in there. So we try to keep the threshold as low as possible in that sense.
That's good to clarify, because like my next maybe question is that when you have the participants and the discussion is ready to happen, does does some government officials decide the closing statements, and what happens after the closing statement is happened?
Yeah, good question. Usually it should be thought before the council starts that, okay, for who are we going to provide these statements? Some of them has gone to newspapers and some on the different officials in the government sector. So it should be decided first, of course. And then also who writes the final statements. Usually it's the person who invites the council together. But also when we developed the prototype, we asked that some of the participants, for the young people, to act as kind of chairperson and they would also be responsible of summarizing the discussions to the statement. So it's again up to the organizers who they want to write the statement. But also what is important is that the participants have possibility to read it and comment on it before it is taken forward.
That's what I was going to say, because if the statement happens after the discussion is over, maybe the organizer or the person who decides to make the final statement, maybe he can change it and nothing will happen. So I think it's good for participants to reevaluate it again, like collectively. So
exactly. Yeah. That's an important step that they have. In practice, it can be that when the statement is written, everybody has left, nobody cares anymore, nobody comes to check it anymore. So it's important. It's important that they would get some kind of email. Like at the current version, there is no like automatic emails or messages sent to the phones that, okay, there's a statement is ready, please go and check and comment on it. But that should be one step in the future, somehow to reach the participants after the council is over.
And like last thing about anonymity, because I think maybe you have already an idea on why this for some people can be considered like a downside. From what I understood, I think that I don't believe that maybe anonymity forcefully would be a right thing, because some people, how can then bright young people advance towards a political career if they are not appreciated and their name is not like visible? I would think maybe someone could be anonymous if they want. So you can ask them if they want to be anonymous, and after they have made a statement, and then of course they can be anonymous. But if someone like wants to be seen, wants the popularity, wants his or her name to be heard, I think this can help for their career or another matter.
Yeah, I think that's really good viewpoint. That definitely, if some people could want to see their name in there, that's really good point. I think mandatory of the participants probably wouldn't like it to see, and like our test cases have been like with the Finnish Red Cross, so very like in vulnerable position, like young people being in a very unsafe position in a way, or a difficult situation in their life, so they might not want to be identified. But then those who want to be, definitely it could be possible. We have been, and I have been proposing that it depends on the topic of the council, that is it anonymous, or should it be, or the participants discuss with their own names, or it should be visible. So I think, again, it depends on the topic, that how challenging it is. But if it's like some more generic, easy, that it doesn't endanger the participants' private life, for example. So definitely they could be. Yeah, exactly. It should be.
Option to be out there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's about the topic. I think it's about the participant. Even if the topic is really sensitive, maybe the participant wants, like, maybe he wants to be heard. He wants his name to be out there.
Yeah.
Maybe the majority, as you said, would not like that, but maybe some people would.
Yeah.
So,
but that might be a good idea, that after the statement has been referred, then you could like say that, okay, I want to be my name shown in the with the statement that I participated. For some people it could be like, I don't know, you could want it to be on your CV, or you can say that I participated, I've been really active, and here's the link to the Digiraati platform you can see as a proof that I have participated. So might be important. Yes. Do we need the microphone? Oh, it's okay.
No, I would just want to know if in the platform you said that there are the possibility to put a nickname.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, if someone wants to put their own name, they just need to put their own name in the nickname.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. I mean,
that's the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
Anonymity.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone can choose the moment that they sign up on the platform if they want to be anonymous or not. So
that's true. That's true. That's
I mean,
possibility.
It's pretty
But
simple
then it,
to solve.
but then it could be like I want my name to be seen on this discussion, but then on the other discussion I don't want. So maybe there could be an option that you can hide it, or you can change it afterwards, or something like that.
Hiding the nickname instead.
Yes.
That's another good idea.
Yeah, good design ideas. I will take these to the to our council. Yes, thank you. Any other comments? I don't know if I am much over time, but maybe it's time we move on to the Guna's presentation. So thank you very much. Thank you.
So, I am doing. Can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me now? I hate this device. I would talk without it, but I hope you can hear me. So I will not do a lecture. Maybe we can just talk, and however, a few of slides there will be. So let's start with that task what I asked to do for you, and as it was promoted in programs, that I am going to talk about Web 2.0, and I would talk, but I would like to hear from you. And have you read something during? Very good. Then can we discuss now what it is, Web 2.0, and how it is different from Web 1.0, and how it relates to participation? Yeah? Who would start? I can see you smiling and waving with your head. Can you start something? Yeah, good. Google is meant for that reason.
So basically, a website, Web 2.0 is like an advanced evolution of the first internet version. So there are more complicated, let's say, structures on the internet, like social media, user-generated content, and all these other things. While in the beginning it was just JavaScript, so the languages of coding. I think e-commerce was. It's Web 1.0 was, let's say, created in the 90s, 1990 until 2005, and then we have like this evolution of Web 2.0, which is from 2005 until now, and there is the 3.0 also version that is going to be imminent, which is another evolution as well in structures of the internet that are available for the users and also for how the users are interacting with internet. For example, an interesting difference that I found between the 2.0 and the 3.0 is the fact that in the 2.0, companies are using and monetizing on users' data, while in the 3.0, it's probably going to be users monetizing with their own data, which is very interesting, different point of view. So that's what I read.
Yeah, hopefully it will be so. Thank you so much. It was a very, very nice description. Who would like to add something? Yeah?
As far as I know, the Web 1.0 is kind of based on no interaction, whereas in 2.0 you have a little bit more interaction with the users, and then more things like blogs and like some sort of user-generated experiences, so to say, were introduced as well. And I think this is the main difference between the two, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it is a difference, but is in our, like our focus, how we are approaching it, that it is much more participationary. Some, did you want to add, or who else? No, nobody. Everyone is quite tired. Okay, so I will try to tell a little bit about it. Yes, Web 2.0 and why it is important for us. It is important because with arriving this concept in academical environment, discussing digitalization and internet, it started to be much more focused on participation and specifically on digital participation. And that one thing what is very important, that really in these platforms qualified as a Web 2.0, as a mostly social network sites, that the difference in between information producers and consumers is blurred. If previously mostly that information was created like a one-way information where users are consuming information and not producing information, and in this environment, which is called as a Web 2.0, users are playing much more bigger role in producing content, and it creates a lot of new opportunities and a lot of new challenges. And if we are thinking about opportunities in terms of participation, of course we are giving a totally new environment. We are giving a possibility to express ourselves. We are given opportunity to connect with each other, and we are given opportunity to disseminate information. It is not that we would be only users and producers. We are also disseminators of information. And actually what is happening is that this environment demands totally new knowledge from society, and that knowledge is so important, and that actually there is a need for totally new approach, how we are teaching, how we are behaving in this digital world, and that environment provides from media perspective completely new relationships with media, because we are not anymore media users, we are living in media. We are not consuming media, but we are living in media, and everything is mediated. In all of our relationships in between us as individuals and other individuals and groups and society, there is that presence of media. But how that media operates and how that infrastructure is built, mostly society doesn't have understanding about it, and every individual doesn't have understanding also, because educational system is not able to develop so fast as technologies are. Technologies are developing very, very fast. Not regulation, not educational system is able to develop in such a speed, and that creates a lot of digital inequalities. We were discussing today in that my weaknesses group about digital gaps, and it is reality which is created by these new environments, providing such a lot of opportunities, but also providing a lot of risks. What happened when this new environment arrived in the academical world? I can tell it shortly from media perspective. I don't know if some of you have heard about Henry Jenkins, but in media and communication science, he is perceived as a father of participatory theories, and he created that concept of participatory culture. If you would see, for example, Google Scholar, you would see that there are thousands and thousands of references to his academical works about possibilities to participate, and actually he is very good on that. If you need to discover possibilities of this environment, he is very, very well-informed and academically strong authority to whom read about his ideas. And actually what he is telling is that participatory culture, what it brings lower barriers for participation, because we now can be involved in different relationships with each other, with policymakers, with educators, much more different ways as it was possible before. We can get strong support for other people in this environment where we are spending most part of our life. We can receive informal mentorship from other persons involved in this environment. We can believe that our contribution matters, because when we are sharing some information, we are getting immediate feedback. We can show our care about others' opinions and see how our interrelationships with them is going on in this environment. And actually, similarly to him, at the beginning in 2000, at the beginning of this century, actually there were a group of academics celebrating that participatory environment created by social network sites. They were not receiving a lot of critics at the beginning, because as educators, as policymakers, also academics are just starting to understand that environment, but that time bring much more critical points of view, and that one significant direction in academical world to approach this world now is called as a platform studies, and they are more focusing on two aspects related to digital media platforms as owned by somebody and as a profit-oriented and not so much society-oriented. And if we are now checking for information who are main providers of digital infrastructure for participation, and also main providers for information, public information available online, then we will see that there are quite a few companies as Meta, who owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, and Alphabet, who owns Google and YouTube, and Twitter, and ByteDance, who owns TikTok, and Microsoft, who owns LinkedIn, and who is investing also in that new platform ChatGPT. Actually, there are quite a few companies, and if we would try to understand what is their influence in global economies, then we would see that actually whose data-based businesses are now dominating that financial world, being most companies with the best financial results in terms of their revenues. And how it was possible? Because these companies actually provide very, very well-designed services for users, and whose service what they are providing, it is related. They are related to information. They are providing unlimited amount of information for users. They are providing entertainment. They are providing knowledge and opinion and different opportunities, including also participation. But at the same time, we need to understand that whose digital media platforms, what they are providing, are created not because they want to provide society possibilities to participate and to receive information. Their main aim is a profit. And that is the main difference comparing Digiraati, for example, with these platforms, that these platforms are profit-oriented, and platform that was characterized by Jari, it is specifically created for society and for needs of citizens, for needs of people, and that understanding in society about ways how whose platforms operate, understanding about attention economy, which is a base for these platforms, that everything, all operations managed by whose platforms, actually they are created as a part of their business tool. If they are providing possibility to cooperate and share information, it is created with a reason to keep longer time users in these platforms, because they need user attention later to sell that user attention to advertisers. Of course, whose opportunities are very good, and we need those opportunities, but what we need also awareness about how these platforms operate. And that one of my main challenges at this moment is that whose platforms operate in visible way. Society doesn't understand how platforms operate, and even it is quite a low-level awareness in the regulatory environment about it. It is very, very recently, since we can see that in European levels there are some activities. Maybe you have heard about Digital Services Act. It is going to regulate some things related to algorithms and related to transparency of algorithms, but whose algorithms are developed constantly, and they are changing constantly. And if we don't understand that main principles, how platforms operate, and that they are profit-oriented, then it is quite challenging for us to be aware of how whose platforms are making influence on our world. And now the situation is that global communication and information space, which should be a common good, it should be something that belongs to society. Actually, it is reduced to its commercial dimension, and in this situation, access to knowledge and knowledge about reality is mediated by whose platforms, and it is mediated via content personalization, algorithmical personalization of everything that is accessible, and that algorithmical personalization is based on principles not known for us. We don't know how it is happening. No, but nobody knows. They know because it is their business, and somehow at these situations, a disbalance in between platforms and society is quite critical. And if we are talking about democracy, a lot of in this field of participations, and this dimension of democracy is not so often mentioned also in academical literature. It is just last, let's say, 5 years when academical environment started to talk about it. There are some groups of citizens trying to make some difference there, and if you would check this forum on information and democracy, you would see that experts from very different countries who has experience within this field, even former workers from different platform companies or journalists or representatives of also from different governments, they are trying to make a difference. There are of course, also some researchers. I don't know if you have heard about this author and if you have heard about a concept of surveillance capitalism. There are different versions of digital capitalism, platform capitalism, surveillance capitalism in literature nowadays. But that main idea is that actually in this way, organized digital world, that our data is that capital, and we are giving our data for free, and it is what you mentioned, that maybe that Web 3.0 will change that situation, but at this moment we are where we are, and we need to think critically about the situation, and what is one of maybe biggest challenge in this field, that services what they are providing, they are really very well designed, and we need good service, and that how to in this situation where our critical thinking is somehow influenced by that opportunities, how still to raise critical thinking about these platform-related issues. And actually this situation when new technologies are arriving, it is not new, and always when new technologies arrive in societies, there is a combination of hope and fear, and maybe I represent that fear, but I hope that I represent more some like trying to think rationally about what is happening, but what was happening in this world, somehow that we were so excited about opportunities and so keen on whose service that as a society we were not able to develop this critical thinking, which is very important in this field. Critical thinking and awareness of how these platforms operate, and ability to understand. This is kind of my concept about platform awareness, which is needed in every field, and not only for users, but also for educators and policymakers. It is necessary to develop ability to understand business logics and invisible operations, such as tracking, content moderation, recommendation systems, attention engineering of algorithm-driven social media platforms. So that's it from my side. I know that it sounds maybe quite dramatic, but that's my approach to this issue. Any questions?
Wouldn't you say that the concept of Web 2.0 is outdated, considering that the Web 3.0 is the future nowadays, and I think we should prepare youth not for Web 2.0, but actually for the future, which is Web 3.0. And we already know that it includes decentralized economy. It's putting actually a bigger emphasis on personalization, as you mentioned. And also it includes VR technology and AR technology, which they are amazing tools to use not only in social media, but also like even in the website of Digiraati. Like, I think the tools of Web 3.0 could be much more helpful than the already known tools of Web 2.0. So why don't we?
I will tell what are my thoughts. And you were asking, shouldn't we prepare young people for that? I think what we should do, we should open ourselves for that knowledge what young people have, and let them to prepare us for that Web 3.0, because their understanding and their knowledge in this digital field is very good. They understand that knowledge, but they don't have a understanding about how to systematize that knowledge, how to develop that knowledge, participation and cooperation with young people in this field. I think it is one of most realistic scenarios how we as a society can survive. Because if we are just close to that knowledge what young people have in this field, it would be very difficult to proceed in future, and I don't think that the educational system is ready to prepare young people for that. We need to find the ways how to cooperate with young people.
Well, I think that's exactly the thing. Like, we should encourage young people, aside from the educational system, to devote themselves to Web 3.0 tools. It doesn't have to be with educational system. I think that you could also argue and really empower young people to do this. It doesn't have to be the schools. Like, we should have non-formal education or other organizations like NGOs help with that, because it will tremendously help you. Because it's here to, it will come eventually. So why not being already prepared, or at least combine what could happen with the Web 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that is, and I agree totally with you that Web 3.0, it is the future we are going. If I need to answer the question, if that concept Web 2.0 is outdated, no concept can be outdated if it characterizes some kind of phenomenon, and that Web 2.0 characterizes that moment of development. So it can be used, but it can be used properly for situation. And talking about different possible ways how we can work together with young people, there can be very different scenarios. And I think that one of main problems can be related that we are thinking about it somehow very framed and not going out of that. Going out of box is also outdated concept, but somehow we need to try to do it. And I can tell one of my own examples, not meaning that it was going out of box, it just happened based on situation. When I was still working in Latvia, at the University of Latvia, we needed to do one research about media literacy. It was research funded by Ministry of Culture, and that idea is that we need to identify what young people are, what kind of media they are using and what kind of media literacy they need. I was a head of that research group, and I realized that actually that I feel very helpless because I don't know anything about how young people are acting. No, of course I know. I can see that they have phones and they have some platforms. It was in 2017, and I was teaching media research methods at Latvian University for multimedia students, and I invited them in our study class to work together on developing that research, and we worked in the ways that they were interviewing they were interviewing their younger siblings or younger friends about what they are doing in the internet, what kind of activities they are doing. And we created together that research proposal with two students being 19, 20 years old, and actually we managed that study. It was quantitative study. Still, we can see research results in internet, and based on that study, there were suggestions provided for Ministry of Education how to change curriculum related to media literacy in schools, and that was a research, actually only available research in Latvia about what kind of media young people are using, and that research was used, research results were used also in media planning agencies in commercial world to understand what kind of platforms are used. One interesting thing what they suggested me, what I would never do as a representative of my generation, they suggested in that time involve in that research as a topic about Musical.ly. Do you know what is Musical.ly? And you know who bought Musical.ly? TikTok. In that time, TikTok was not at all in agenda, and they suggested to include that Musical.ly as a platform, what we are researching, and we did it based on their suggestions. And actually, after few weeks, not few weeks, but few years, that Musical.ly was bought by TikTok, and we could see what was that influence there, which means that they were very proud. My students were very proud every time when they could see that about that study there is a public discussion in the media, and that the Ministry of Education is pronouncing that there will be new policies related to that. It was not like a very conventional way how to influence policy making, but still some political decisions were changed because young people were involved in process. I think that thinking about different kind of ways, and I can promote just that idea to do research together with young people and to value their knowledge, to value what they have, and to try identify how to join that knowledge together what young people have. It was a question what you asked Reeta when Reeta presented, how we can join that knowledge what young people have together with elder generation. It is a question because we have a lot of knowledge as educators, as youth workers, as also policymakers, but how to join what we have and how to respect them and how to find the ways how to proceed. I think it is very, very challenging, but I can see that our workshop, our seminar is a good way how to also do things together, and that we will create some ideas of great digital solutions, your dream solutions, what can serve also as idea for future. Somehow like that. Some more questions? Or now it's time for working for you, yeah?
Great pep talk at the end to boost you up for the final draft for today. So we have still a little bit more than 1 hour before the dinner, so I suggest have a short break and then work with your team for the dream solution before we have the dinner. So we have those, I think we still have those 2 rooms also available, so you can use any facilities here.